All right, so like I said, for this week we'll stick with the way we've got it, but next week just remind me over to that side, and I'll take that side. Make sure. Oh yeah, and I'm sorry about that. I didn't get to print out the thing. So, you know what? Bob and Joe have some over there. That's probably it. All right. Good Shabbos. Oh, give me 1 second. See, but that's already impressive, right? You jumped right in and grabbed it. That's it. Okay, let me just. No, that's just the wind moving through the. Yep.
It's all the wind. It's not me.
Okay. All right. Andrea. You know what? For whatever it's worth, I checked the weather before I came out. I just looked at the radar. There's nothing that says rain anytime soon. But in that event, save yourselves. I'm going to go for the camera. Look, depending on the prayers we say tonight, things could change drastically. I'm going to have to get up in the cherry picker and see if I can get a better view, but we'll see. It's wonderful to see all of you. Thank you for trusting that the weather is going to be okay and coming out to welcome our wonderful and new student cantor, Kevin McKenzie. Can we give him a round of applause? A Shabbos welcome.
Look at that. I got an applause before doing anything.
That's how we do things around here. That's exactly right. You're going to love Kevin. You're absolutely going to love Kevin. I've already fallen in love with Kevin in platonic ways. Don't worry, Lou. Everything is fine. But he's everything that we're about. And wait till you hear his voice. It's just phenomenal. And, of course, every time that there is something new, there's some anxiety. There might even be a few foibles along the way. We'll see how that goes. But, Kevin is just a wonderfully well-prepared guy. And we're just excited to celebrate Shabbat and to be with all of you. And we're really going to get right into it tonight. And we're going to light and bless our Shabbat candles. And those blessings can be found on page 120. And I'll just say at the outset, this has always been my pattern in my years here. We bring our cantors in slowly, okay? So Kevin, even though he's capable of everything, we'll see a little bit tonight, a little bit tomorrow, increasingly, and then by the high holidays, it's all the gloves are off.
Preseason.
Yeah, exactly. Preseason. You see, he's a football fan, so we've got that going too. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We'll turn now to begin Kabbalat Shabbat on page 130 at the very top of the page. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, nekadma fanav betodah. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, v'izmirot naria lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, l'Adonai. We'll turn now to page 131, Shiru L'Adonai, in the middle of the page. Shiru L'Adonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru L'Adonai, Kol Haaretz. Shiru L'Adonai Baruch Shemo, Basru meyom leyom Yeshuato. Shiru L'Adonai Baruch Shemo, Basru meyom leyom Yeshuato. Shiru L'Adonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru L'Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru L'Adonai Baruch Shemo, Basru meyom leyom Yeshuato. Shiru L'Adonai Baruch Shemo, Basru meyom leyom Yeshuato. We'll turn now to the bottom of page 132, and we'll give Kevin a chance to introduce us to something new.
All right, so, Or Zarua La Tzaddik, light is sown for the righteous. I want to involve you just as much in that as I involve myself. So there are two very basic parts, one with the words Or Zarua La Tzaddik, Uli Yishrei Lev Simcha. And if you can't handle that, there are words bum, biddy bum, for anyone who can't get that. So, we'll start with that part. Bum biddy 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 bum. Try that. Bum biddy 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 bum. Look at that. So simple. One more. Do it again. Biddy bum biddy bum biddy bum biddy bum biddy bum biddy. We'll get there. Bum biddy bum. Part two. Or Zarua La Tzaddik, Uli Yishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua La Tzaddik, Uli Yishrei Lev Simcha. Bum biddy 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 bum. Or Zarua La Tzaddik, Uli Yishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua La Tzaddik, Uli Yishrei Lev Simcha.
Right, beautiful. I think the motorcycle at the end was part of it also. It was in that round.
Intentional.
Very good.
Planned.
Good.
Planned it all.
We're going to turn now to page 134, Zamru L'Adonai at the very top of the page. Zamru L'Adonai bechinor, bechinor bekol zimra, החצוצרות וקול שופר. ההרים לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושביו. נהרות ימחאו כף יחד, הרים ירננו, לפני אדוני קיווה, לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים במישרים. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושביו. נהרות ימחאו כף יחד, הרים ירננו. We'll turn now to Romamu in the middle of the page on page 135. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקודשו. We'll turn now to Lecha Dodi on page 138, and a reminder, we'll do the first, second, fifth, and ninth paragraphs. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. lecha dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Fifth paragraph. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, toch emunei am segula, boi chala. It's just where it indents in the middle of the page in Hebrew.
Tzadik katamar yifrach ke'erez balvanon yiske shetulim beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun b'seiva deshenim veranim yiyu lehagir Ki yashar Adonai tzuri velo havlata bo.
We'll turn now for the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144, and we'll rise in body or in spirit. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba B'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'gala uv'izman kariv v'yimeru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach Le'alam li'al me'al maya yitparach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'yimeru Amen. Remain standing in body or spirit as we turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai hamborach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamborach leolam va'ed. Please be seated. We turn now to page 148. We'll read together in English at the bottom of the page. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai Tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamari v'ravim. We'll turn now to page 151 at the very bottom of the page. We'll read together in English. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Ki ehem chayenu ve'orech yameinu v'hem nege yomam v'layla v'avatcha al tasir mimenu li'olamim baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem
כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please join us on page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, ושבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We'll read together now on the top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. As we turn to page 158. Ya bye bye bim 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 bam, ya bye bye bim bam, ya bye bye bim 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 bam, ya bye bye bim bam, ya bye ba 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 bye, ya bye bye bim bam, ya bye ba 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 bye, ya bye bye bim bam. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh. Nor tehilot osef ele, nor tehilot osef ele. Ya bye bye bim 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 bam, ya bye bye bim bam, ya bye bye bim 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 bam, ya bye bye bim bam, ya bye ba 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 ba, ya bye bye bim bam, ya bye ba 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 ba, ya bye bye bim bam. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקעם לפני משה ומרים זה ליאנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פד אדוני את יעקב וגולו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Hashkivenu, the top of page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzeiteinu uvoeinu lechaim ushalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Yerushalayim. We turn now to page 162, Vishamru at the very top of the page. Veshamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם Einai beini uvein bnei Yisrael oti leolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashevi Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash. In a moment, we'll begin the Amidah together on page 164, and I'll invite us to rise in body or in spirit. After we start the Amidah together, we'll continue silently from there. As always, please go at your own pace, and if you're standing at the end, you may be seated. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agitei latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
We'll turn now to page 371 as we prepare for our Misha Berach, our healing prayer for this evening. We think in our community tonight of Spencer Levy, Aaron Zweig, Michael Klinghoffer, Amy Cass, Steve Levine, Rivka Bat Rachel, Leah Bat Naomi, Gedalia Ben Sylvia, Lorraine Danis, David Dowling, Sivya Devora Bat Francis, Deborah Block-Kroll, Sylvia Orn, Muriel Hirsch, Michelle Sawicki, Francis Kirschman, Paul Bat-Esther, Shelley Newmark, Diane Axelrod, Gabriola Rose Spicer, Dina Batchana, Barbara Kushner, David Kyle Klotman, Michoel Ben Chananya, Bensi Tepper, Lorraine Davis, Mazel Bat Adel, Erwin Levin, Chana Bat Miriam, Moshe Ben Ephraim Fischel, Devorah Bat Sima, Moshe Eliezer Ben Yekutiel, Judy Yang, Jeffrey Miller, Sandy Greenwald, Pat Skionis, Peter Parcher, Jeannie Levinson, Eva Levinson, Leah and Pam, Jody Bernstein, Matthew Agarwal, Leslie Schifrin, Charlie Zweig, Michael Rosenblatt, August Hill, Trish Schapp, Jerry Leibowitz, and Rivka Bat Yehuda Vabela. In addition to the names that we just read, if anyone is here with us tonight has additional names to share, just make sure you raise a hand so I can make sure we get everybody. And certainly welcome our friends watching at home to add the names of their loved ones as well. We'll join together on page 371, just in the middle of the page. Mi shebeirach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. So remember when I said we were going to take it easy on him because it's his first weekend? I kind of lied. He's going to give our teaching for this evening, our sermon, and it's a great chance to get to know Kevin. And we're really just scratching the surface here because he doesn't even have his guitar this week. The man is unbelievably accomplished at the guitar. This comes from Lauren herself, which we know is our most trusted source. So, Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourselves. Introduce yourselves to the people, and I'm going to go over there eat some ruglach. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Enjoy.
All right.
All right. Well, first of all, Shabbat Shalom. And it's been an absolute pleasure already just being here for really a few hours and getting my first trip out a few months back, which I know can feel like weeks. So the first thing I want to say is, yes, my last name is Mackenzie. So I really wish I had prepared this really long story on how my family came from Scotland, and I had this entire story, but I didn't. I don't have really much of a story at all, unfortunately, to tell you. My mom is Jewish, my dad isn't. And so I took the last name Mackenzie. Therefore, my last name is Mackenzie, but I was like, okay, I need to have some kind of a Jewish twist to it. So when coming up with nicknames for everyone, I think that my favorite nickname that I got was in order to make it a little bit Yiddish, I was like, I can do something with Mackenzie. That's got a good vibe to it. So every once in a while, some people call me, every once in a while, the Mackenzieke Chazen. So that's the Jewish flavor that you've got to Mackenzie. Beyond that, I don't think you're going to find any other Cantor Mackenzies or Mackenzieke Chazens out there. So I come from Colorado. I grew up there. And I was, I think I was there for 18 years, which is a good number to be there, good amount of time to be there. I grew up in Colorado Springs, and I went to CU Boulder for my undergrad, where I studied voice and sang. I did youth group growing up. I did NIFTY. I went to Jewish summer camp in Colorado at Schwader Camp, owned by Temple Emmanuel in the URJ. And I took a trip to Israel. So growing up, I always had a relatively strong identity, despite growing up in Colorado Springs, where my high school had 1,800 people. 6 Jews, 6 more than you thought. So it was very small, but I was very strongly identifying as Jewish, and it was mostly because my friends would say, "Hey, when's Hanukkah?" And I would say, "I don't know, I'll check." And as I grew up more and more, I really started like identifying very strongly with my Jewish roots, and then going to Boulder, where 10% of the population of the school was Jewish, and I think we're about 30,000, so that's 3,000 Jews at my university. And Hillel and Chabad reached about 1,500 in the course of a single year. So I was a Hillel person myself, but was very close as well with the Chabad rabbi. And I went through those 5 years singing and working and really like looking towards, okay, I want to sing. Like, I think I could really become a cantor, become a chazan. And I just pushed right through, and that's immediately what I wanted to do. When I went back to camp as a staff member, I was a song leader. So I've got a song leading background, and I love to engage everyone else in singing. I love it when I get to hear everyone else really participating with me and not just listening. But at the same time, in HUC and before, I'm studying chazanut, and we're studying all of these other types of music. And so there are also moments that I want to be like, okay, I want to give you a listening moment to hear some of the tradition and hear where we've come from. So I have a few pieces of chazanut that I'd love to try out over the next at least year. And so once I graduated from CU Boulder, I applied immediately to HUC because this was my path. And they said, "We think you're a great fit, but not yet." They said, "We want you to come back in, say, 2 to 3 years, then you'll be ready." And so I had my entire 5-year plan ready, because that's HUC, it's 5 full years. Now I had a 2-month plan. Well, I was going to go to summer camp, where I went to Green Family Camp in Texas for this summer. And while there, I met someone who basically said, "Hey, I can get you a gig in Jerusalem, singing with a cantor there, working in the great synagogue, and singing in the choir. You'll just have to study a little bit at Or Sameach, this yeshiva." I was like, well, I don't have a plan, and the rent was the same as just 1 month. So I said, all right, why not? So I went to Israel for what I thought was going to be 4 months and enjoyed studying text. I really loved the overall vibe, but the yeshiva in Or Sameach was not what I was looking for. So I transferred to a place called Pardes. Now, Pardes might be familiar to a lot of you because the president of Pardes is Leon Morris. So I got to do a lot of Chavruta study with Leon and Rabbi Morris, as I'm sure is much more familiar to y'all, or Rabbi Leon, I'm not sure which. And I got to study for about 1.5 years and just study text and get really immersed in Jewish tradition. And by then, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do HUC or JTS when I came back to reapply, but ended up at HUC. And this is really definitely where I want to be, is in HUC, but we'll see going forward where exactly I fit, because I've had so many experiences that I just see the value in so many different types of Jewish living. And so I want to just be able to make sure that I can offer anyone any type of Jewish experience that they require and that they want. So while in Jerusalem for those 2 years, I also was in some musicals, I did some operas, I did choirs. So if there's an opportunity for me to sing, I'm in. So that's really me in a nutshell. These past 2 years have been crazy because I've now been in New York all of last year and just for a little bit of this year. I stayed in Jerusalem for 4 years total after coming for 4 months. The first 4 months at the yeshiva, then at Pardes, then at HUC for the first year. And then because COVID happened, I stayed in Jerusalem for 1 more year studying on the New York campus while living in Jerusalem. So I was able to make that time frame work, and it was really quite lovely to be able to do that. And I'm very privileged to be here and to have had such amazing experiences. And I'm really, really looking forward to the next year or 2 years or however long you'll have me. And I'm really looking forward to getting to meet all of you a lot more personally as well.
We want you here as long as we can possibly have you. That's my response. So, Kevin, see, you got applause. I never get applause like that. That's just for, but nice. How wonderful. And you conveyed everything that Neil and I saw in you from the very first moment we interviewed you. It felt like exactly where you needed to be, exactly where we needed somebody like yourself. And, for somebody, again, who's had so many different experiences, we are a temple that has had many identities over the years. Many of us come from very different kinds of backgrounds, and I think what makes it all work is the neshama, right? What's in here, and you possess that in spades. So your talent aside, which is immense, what we really love here is the person first and foremost, and you already are making a wonderful impression. Somebody who I'm looking forward to having the chance to share the bima with and to learn from, as much as hopefully to provide some amount of learning. We'll see how that goes. But really, Kevin, you did a great job right off the bat. We promise we won't make you work so hard all the time, but maybe we need to hear more from him, I think. He's a text-based man, so Torah studies in your future, I see. That is for sure. So again, wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Kevin, thanks for getting us into the best kind of vibe and mood we can be in. We're going to turn now to page 586 in our prayer books, and we'll rise in body or spirit, Aleinu L'Shabech, at the very top of the page. Aleinu L'Shabech L'Adon HaKol, Lateit Gedula Liotzev Reshit, Shelo Asanu Kegoyei Ha'aratzot, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 591. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Now invite those in mourning, those observing yahrzeit, to please remain standing. Everyone else may be seated at this time. I begin by thinking of those who passed in our community in recent months. Martin Blake, Faith Diskin, Linda Donath, Arlene Eber, Jay Fagan, Ellen Frank, Chaim Bear Greenwald, Gerald Hirsch, Mark Joseph, Jane Beard Cass, Gertrude Katz, Buddy Kossoff, Helene Krotman, Emmanuel Kiprios, Leo Leibowitz, William Lippman, Sandra Tromberg Luongo, Norma Paulsack, David Senf, Anita Sheldon, Alan Silver, Larry Wartor, Peter Weinstein, and Matthew Adam Zimmerman. We also mark the yahrzeits that occurred during the last week for Henry Edelberg, Pauline Binstock, Rose Blake, Ira Blum, Augusta Brill, David Davidson, Carlos Dobrin, Helen Fagan, Tobias Fior, William Hesse, Bernard Jacobs, Hyman Joseph, Molly Katzenbogen, Michael Kellman, Isidore Krennick, Moses Lifshitz, Michael Littman, Andrea Ruby Okino, Jenny Osofsky, Harold Pachel, Goldie Sackner, Joseph Sanders, Saul Weinberg. Is there anyone else saying Kaddish this evening for someone we did not mention, like to mention their names? And we'll invite those that are with us this evening and those watching at home, if you choose to rise in solidarity, as we invite the mourners to join on page 598 as we recite the Mourners Kaddish together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach kirtei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. B'agalav v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba Mevarach Le'alam U'Le'omei Almaya. Yit Barach V'Yit Tabach V'Yit Pa'ar V'Yit Romam V'Yit Naseh V'Yit Hadar V'Yit Ale V'Yit Halal Shemei Dekudsha Brichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechamata Da'amiran Be'alma V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Mimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Imru Amen.
Amen.
Zichronam Livracha, may every one of their memories be for a blessing. Okay, please be seated. And again, Shabbat Shalom and a big welcome to Cantor Kevin. We are excited to have a whole few future ahead with you. It's just great. It's just great. And if you want to see more of Kevin this weekend, you can join us for Shabbat services tomorrow morning. If you're coming in person, we just enter through the side door here into the chapel. Those that are watching online, I know last week, for they may not know, but we lost internet here at the church. It had nothing to do with us. So every once in a while, these things can happen, but I assure you, we're all set for tomorrow. We hope you'll join us. And then, of course, for Torah study beginning at 12 o'clock on Zoom. Just a reminder, Sunday at 11 o'clock is the final meeting of the 2022 summer season of Book Group with Ruth Joseph, so you can still join. There's one left. Still join up for that again Sunday at 11 o'clock. Coming up this week, the Advanced Conversational Hebrew Group is meeting with Shelley at 11:15. Nina Mitzvah meets at 11:30. My Heschel class at 12 o'clock. And the Social Justice Committee has its regular virtual meeting at 5 o'clock. Also, a reminder, this coming Thursday is the next in our series of conversations in the intersection between science and religion here in Sag Harbor. This will be a conversation between myself and Professor Carl Grossman, our very own. And the topic will be around the environment broadly. And again, the intersection, especially in Carl's work over the years, in drawing our attention to various important environmental issues and seeing the through lines, and perhaps even some of the places in which there is some disagreement, perhaps, between religion and science. But it's been a great series so far. We've had two really excellent conversations, and I know this will be great as well. Again, that's Thursday on Zoom at 7 o'clock. Reminder again, next Friday is Labor Day weekend, so I believe that Neil, we change our... I think we go back to 6 o'clock. I'm looking at as many board members as I can find who are here. They're all looking at me with no particular answer. So whatever Eileen tells us, I suppose, is what it is. But I think we move back to 6 o'clock because, as you can see, it starts to get a little bit darker a little bit sooner. And we are through with our season of Shabbat by the Bay. I know Shelley is very exhausted, but also a wonderful season. So, Shelley, thank you for all your hard work there. So let's assume 6 o'clock next Friday. And as long as the weather holds and the church allows us, we'll still try to meet outside as much as we can until it gets bad. So certainly next week we plan to be outside, and we hope to see you then. Also a reminder, Thursday, September 8th, 10:30, we have a guided docent-led tour of the Montauk Lighthouse, followed by a light lunch at George's Lighthouse Cafe. I will be there as well. Again, it's Thursday, September 8th, 10:30 in the morning. If it rains, I think it's one of those things where we'll have to cancel and reschedule. It's not so much fun in the lighthouse if it's pouring. But hopefully you're coming with us, but let us know that you're coming so we can expect you. Again, September 8th, 10:30. Lots of other stuff coming in September, including the high holidays. So this is the time of year to pay very close attention, as I know you all do, to our regular e-blasts, to our announcements. These are important things. But the most important announcement is a Shabbat Shalom to all of you. And again, a big welcome to Cantor Kevin, who's already doing such a fantastic job. Last, again, as every week, just a reminder, active parking lot. So when we're done with Kiddush, bring your Sidurim back over, if you can, your prayer books back over to Bob and Josie. If you're backing out, just please be careful. Make sure you're paying attention to everything around you. And if you give me 2 minutes, I'll get all this stuff out of the way so anybody who's parked here or wants to get around can certainly do that. And of course, you can meet Kevin. So as soon as the service is over, Kevin, why don't you go in that vicinity and they'll come say hello to you and I'll take care of all this.
Perfect.
Not to worry. So we're going to end with Kiddush this evening and with Motzi. Kiddush can be found on page 123, and we'll rise again, page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yava u'bratzon inchilanu zikaron lemase v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava u'ratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Amen. L'chaim. L'chaim. And to our moti. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom to our friends watching at home.
Shabbat
And thank you
shalom.
to Josie who pre-opened this so that I wouldn't have to struggle like I did last week. Josie, I love you. Thank you very much. All right, good Shabbos, everybody. Get home safe. Okay.